Ron LeBlanc from ARS Global Emergency Management. Thank you for coming, Ron.
Thank you, Dan, for the invitation.
Good stuff. And we've known ourselves for a while, so I'm happy you took us on and come to the DORE Podcast and share a bit of your experience and knowledge with the viewers. I think you'll bring some good value. So thank you for doing that.
You're welcome, and thanks for, like I said, thanks for the invitation.
Yeah. So you've been in property restoration for a while, even before ARS. Can you give us a brief idea of how you got to where you are today with this business?
I started in 1987 as an insurance adjuster, and then switched over to being a restoration contractor in 1994, end of 94.
Okay.
And I've been working on that side. So I've been in the industry now close to 38 years.
Okay.
So it's been a long haul, but yeah, I worked for a couple of companies, had my own business for a number of years.
Yeah, I think that's how I met you at first. Yeah.
Yeah, and then sold it, and then started working and being lucky to work for ARS for the last 8 years now. It's going on 8 years.
Okay,
so it's
good.
Great experience, and we have a great team here in Ottawa, so it's fun. And it's a family-owned business, so they've been around for 67 years now this year.
Okay.
So it's growing, and they're in the States and all over the place now. So it's an awesome place to work.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, and I mean it's always nice to see, but I can just imagine the type of stuff that you've seen over the years.
Oh, yeah,
in this business.
Yeah, there's a lot of it. Like we did when I was with another restoration contractor, we did a lot of crime scene cleanup and stuff like that. So those are never easy to deal with.
Rough.
But with ARS, it's mostly commercial work, and as you know, we've done a lot of work for you in the past also. So like that's strictly what we do now is commercial, residential, and
we call you when we're like, sheesh, we need something done, and he's Ron, I don't want to lose a month's rent. We got to get this place turned over.
Exactly.
And you guys have always delivered, so thank you. So just for the audience, so what services does ARS specifically, what services do you offer to the market?
Well, we're a full restoration company, so we will do commercial, residential. We do environmental work, so that involves mold and asbestos abatement, and from new build, we have divisions. The company is huge, so they do a lot of construction. We do CapEx work. We can do basically anything. We're a full service restoration company and construction company, so we can do it all.
Yeah, so it goes beyond just restoration.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
We have a cleaning janitorial company. So I don't know all the companies that is under the ARS or under the TGA umbrella, but we do own a lot of businesses. So
okay, well, that's good. And I mean, we know you from your Ottawa presence, but ARS, I believe, covers a lot bigger territory than Ottawa.
Oh my God. We're right across Canada now. We have offices in Calgary, and we cover out in BC, and I've done work out in Halifax actually for a hotel chain that had a water damage a couple of years ago. So we cover right across Canada now, and we have a large loss team that is led by one of our senior vice presidents. So they attack anything. Like we were out in Jasper in the wildfires, and
were you really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
that must be rough.
Yeah, and we have a big team, so we can move people around fairly quickly and mobilize and get into action. That's why the insurance companies reach out to us, is because they know our background and how good we are at what we do. So.
Yeah. And being able to cover that surface gives them the option to know who to call, and
absolutely,
having a name recognition in the industry. So apart from insurance companies, like who's the target client? Like who are you really serving as your main target clients?
Well, insurance companies, property management firms. We do a lot of work for some large contractors that call us in to do their cleanups and things like that, and have us doing their emergency work. So a lot of general contractors don't have a restoration department, so they'll call us to go in and do it. But that's in Ottawa. I mean,
right
across Canada, there's different services that ARS does, but mainly insurance companies, property management companies, condo corporations, things like that. So
larger scale for the most part.
Larger scales, yes.
No, fair
absolutely.
enough. And I'm assuming with this service, it's a 24-hour, 7 days a week, no days off, always on call.
Always on call. It's got.
I see your smile. You love that.
Well, I do, because as I'm getting older, though, and the office is growing here in Ottawa, so we've gotten a lot bigger in the last couple of years. So now we're more on a rotation for the on-call, which is nice, because for the first few years we were a little bit smaller in Ottawa, not in the rest of the country, but So yeah, there's a lot of on call, and you're going to get woken up at 2 a.m, and you just deal with it, and it's part of the game. So I've been doing it for so long now; it's second nature. So
Yeah, I can imagine. Not your first rodeo.
no.
And I mean, we were just chatting before starting the recording, with our understanding, obviously, that most of the damages that you see in properties relates to water more so than anything. So I wanted to touch base with that a bit more. So, when say for example there's a flood in a basement or flood in a dwelling of some sort, how important is it to address the issue quickly?
Well, it's very important on a water damage. And again, it depends what kind of water damage. It can be a sewer backup, which is treated differently than a hot water tank breaking or a pipe breaking.
Right.
A sump pump failure, there are different categories of water. I don't want to get too technical on it, but it's all how you approach it. And there's also, before you can start cutting walls in a water damage, you have to make sure it's been tested for asbestos. So the best thing is to get us in as quickly as possible and, get the equipment in to start drying, and then, make the proper assessment on what needs to be done if we do need to have testing done. And usually if we're in there quick enough and we've done our job, we don't need to worry that much about mold. But again, if it is left for, mold can start growing, fairly quickly. So you have to response time. And that's what we pride ourselves on, is getting into the unit or in the house or in the building as quickly as possible. So our turnaround time is really, really good.
Yeah.
We don't wait. As soon as we get the call, we mobilize and we're out. So we want to make sure we take care of our customers.
Yeah. No, that's good. And say for example, there's a flood in a property, and for some reason it doesn't get reported right away, and you show up there, and it's been flooded for an extended period of time. Like what potential damage or can someone expect, or how? Because we understand the importance of doing it quickly, but what if you weren't presented the opportunity to do it quickly? Like what tends to happen if water stays there, whether it's sewer water versus a sump up water? Like what are?
Well, again, that would be if we do get called in later on, like you're mentioning, we would have to have an environmental engineer go in and take a look and see. They would provide a scope when it comes to something like mold. We're not going to make an assumption and then do something without having somebody that is, the professional that is, knows what they went to school for, to make sure that they are providing us with the proper scope on what we need to remove and what protection we need to be using, because there's different degrees. So that's what we would do if something that we came in had a lot of mold in it.
Yeah.
Most stuff we can handle ourselves and make the judgment, but if we went into a house that was full on mold, we would have to have somebody out to provide us with a proper scope. And then that becomes a job where the quantum is a lot higher, and there's a lot more involvement in that. You can't use air movers to dry it. You can put dehumidifiers in, you'd have neg airs in. You wouldn't be putting equipment in there that would make the mold spores become airborne and all over so it's a little bit of a different, it's a case by case. That's how our industry is. That's why it's so challenging, is nothing is ever the same. It's not cookie cutter. Everything that we get, every job is a new job. So
right. And how important, I mean, obviously we're talking about mold spores, and how important is it to not disturb mold? I mean, obviously if there's mold there, and obviously you're talking about negative air and so on, but I mean, my understanding is that if mold spores spread out throughout a property, it can multiply the damages 100%. Significantly. So what how important is it, and what would end up happening if somebody decided that they start up the furnace and then disturb the mold, and next thing you know?
Well, again, the house would have to be completely cleaned, and then any materials that we saw mold growth on would have to be removed. But again, that would all be the environmental engineer would provide us the scope on that, just to make sure we're treating, because there's so many different types of mold, and it's not just one procedure. So it's very, very
it's not that simple.
Case by case.
It's case by case. So there's not one remedy. It's really a rule of thumb, and trying to address what the issue is at that particular case.
100%.
No. And so I mean, obviously, whether it's homeowners or property managers or commercial properties, we all have insurance. And our insurance premiums typically are different. So typically somebody has a smaller home, whichever, may have a $500 or $1,000 deductible, where commercial property may have a $10,000 deductible, where an apartment building may have a $50,000 deductible. So
absolutely.
At what point in your experience, because you've been in the industry for insurance as well before, I mean, at what point, I mean, would you defer the owner, the decision maker, to start an insurance claim as opposed to say not?
Almost right off the bat, we want to make sure you protect your client. So they should always tell their insurance company and report their claim. I mean, it's,
Regardless of them.
regardless. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, some commercial clients will take care of their self-insured and they'll do it themselves, and they'll advise us of that, saying we're not going through insurance. So then we deal with it that way. But rule of thumb, if we're walking into a homeowner claim and we look at it and we go, you should advise your insurance company, because it is a water damage, and if you don't report it, then you should always make sure you report it to your insurance company, whether or not you end up
whether or not the claim is going to go through the insurance, just as a precaution. So at least the file's open.
You protect yourself and you protect everybody. You're protecting your investment. Your home is your biggest investment. So.
And is my assumption correct that even the insurance company could play a role in guiding those decisions going forward? So for example, depending on what's being quoted or what work will require, sometimes, perhaps the insurance company say, well, this is going to be less than your deductible, as opposed to saying, okay, let's start a claim, let's take over, and we'll decide how this is going to work. Like, is the insurance company playing an active role in making that decision? Or
the adjuster will play. He'll come in and see what, he'll ask us what we think the amount of damages will be, and then they'll make a decision with their client. So, we don't really get involved when the adjuster's dealing with the homeowner.
Yeah.
That'll be their decision whether they want to pursue a claim with their insurance company or pay us directly, or sometimes not even claim if they say, well, we'll get friends over and do it ourselves.
Sure.
That happens also. So.
Okay.
That's why insurance is such a different game. So there's a lot of variables.
Yeah, and depending on who the provider is and what kind of coverage they have.
You got it. Yeah.
I've seen different things happening where I had a friend that had a commercial property several years ago that had a fire from an upstairs neighboring commercial property, and when he went through the insurance claim, realized at some point that it was going to cost a lot more than what he was covered for. So it was a matter of making this decision now, who's going to do the work, right? 100%. So all those decisions, and obviously the insurance company kind of flagged it, said, well, we can pay X, but this won't resolve the whole issue, right? So it can get complicated, especially with large amounts and depending on where the cash was coming from and so on. So
absolutely. That's why a lot of the commercial work now, a lot of people are self-insured up to a certain amount, like $500,000 or things like that. So
right. Yeah. So then they don't go through the claim. They and then they'll dictate how to do it. So,
exactly.
No. So in this business, I'm assuming it's, having people that can, be on call 24/7, 7 days a week, dealing with disaster restoration. It must be fairly tough to keep a pool of people always available. So how does that work? Do you guys keep them on staff? It's all third party. Like how do you maintain? Because obviously these things you can never predict how they come in. Like how do you deal with that?
Well, we have our own employees, and the way is that you create, like, our company is it's, like I mentioned, it's a family-owned business, so they're very strong on creating a team approach. And so they hire well. They make sure that, before somebody gets hired, they go through, quite an extensive interview process. So when somebody comes aboard, they understand the role they're getting into and the job and what it asks for. So you don't put somebody in a position, they're not going to succeed. So, our company is is built on, the family and how we treat the employees. Like, we have a great staff here, and, they're amazing. We all take our role on call and nobody complains. And it is what it is. This is the job we've chosen to do, the career that we've chosen. And, you have to like it, and you have to want to do it. It's a challenging, but it's also an exciting job.
There's no 2 days that look the same.
No. I mean, I love it. I'm getting older now, but I still love the challenge of getting a new claim and going out and seeing it, and, making sure that we're taking care of either the business owner or the homeowner. And so, it's a great industry.
And you guys went through recently a rebranding with ARS Global Emergency Management. So what is next for you guys? Is are there new territories, new services, anything new that's being
that I don't know,
or just trying to serve the influx of business that comes in?
That I don't know. I don't I know what the company does for Ottawa and what they're doing in Canada and that, but I don't know that much of what the future plans are, to be honest with you. I know we've expanded here. We've got a new business development rep. Michaela Nicholson,
Yep.
who you know very well.
Yes.
So she's going to be handling our business development here in Ottawa, and very happy. And we have, a new project manager that came in, and so we're growing, and we're taking more and more of the market here in Ottawa, which is great. So
No, and I know you guys are working on big files, so it's you must be doing something right.
Well, I hope so.
Anything else, Ron, that you think you'd want to cover today? Because obviously we try to give a macro picture to people listening in on who you are, the services you offer. Anything that we'd missed that you wanted to highlight? Like give us a story of something that you say, something that the audience would say, "Whoa, you guys saw this happening?" Or
well, I think
I know I'm putting you on the spot, but just for the fun of it, right?
The windstorm in 2022 was
the derecho.
Yeah, the derecho storm that went through. That one, Lee and I have been in the industry, both of us, about the same number of years. And Lee's one of our senior project managers. And we drove out to a golf course. We had gotten a claim out there, and to see the 100-year-old trees, the size of them that were blown over by this storm, both of us were like, this is something we've never seen before, and hopefully never see again, because it was incredible. And we had so much work from that. And, it was sad because some people lost their lives in that storm, So I think that was one of the ones, like, I've seen water damages and fires, and like I mentioned, crime scene cleanups and that, and those are never easy. But seeing how Mother Nature can do the devastation that she did on that day, it blew me away. So I don't think I'll ever forget that. That and the ice storm in 1998.
Yeah, the 98 ice storm.
Yeah,
that was quite something.
Yeah, that was a lot of hours and a lot of work. So,
all those that you hope you don't see again. Yeah, the derecho was quite something.
Oh yeah, it was crazy. So.
Yeah, we were in town, and we had gotten calls from the neighbor because we had a fairly large scale trampoline was in the ditch, and had trees, like huge trees, just snapped in half. And then you drive over to the property at night, and there's like no electricity. That was kind of really interesting. Can't fuel your vehicle. No diesel, no gas. Everything's shut down. The lights, the traffic lights, nothing works in a developed area. Like, this is not rural.
No,
we're driving in Ottawa, and it's like everything's shut down. Yeah, that was quite
It's something like I said, I'd never seen, but hopefully never see again. So.
Yeah, no, that's good. Well, Ron, thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
I know we could go deep into this, but we'll keep it on the high level. And I appreciate you taking the time to come in and share with the audience your experience. And if anybody has any questions, comments, or anything they want to ask you, we'll put your information on the video. So
great. Thank you very much, Dan.
Sounds good. Thanks, Ron. Thanks. Okay. Bye-bye.